Hello fellow gamers, Peter, Universal Head here to show you some more cool gaming stuff. Now I go on all the time about Dystopian Wars and Wild West Exodus because they're both great tabletop miniatures games by Warcradle Studios. But you may not know that they also make terrain in MDF. Now they have sent me in the past the Amiga Fortifications set, which I've done a video on, and today I just received in the mail from them this Estun Village set, which is kind of a Norse fantasy village. It's a huge amount of MDF, as you can see. Look at all that, piles and piles. It's pre-coloured so you don't have to paint it, and these are pretty easy to put together, so I'm not going to go into huge detail about how I build them unless I come up against any difficult spots where I can flag it for you and give you some tips. In the meantime, I'm going to get building this, and then I'm going to show you a tabletop with miniatures so you can get a good idea of what the final set looks like when it's all built. Let's get started. Thanks very much Warcradle for sending me this. I'm going to build all this MDF and we're going to see what the Estun Village set looks like. First up we've got the guard tower, which is a very impressive model, very large, lovely sense of scale. You can see I've got a figure there for scale, and I really like the fact that this has got big table presence for a guard tower. You don't usually see towers this large. It's got a little outhouse there. The doors are all opening ones. They're on little hinges so you can open them like so. The stairway is separate. You can pull that away if you like. And all the floors come off. You've got separate floors as well. So we've got a top floor here. There's another floor there. Another one. And then down here to the ground level, we've even got a few little bunks to put in there. Now the good thing about this is that these all fit together rather cleverly with these pieces of external wood, which not only give the outside a bit of dimension, but also sort of fit into the level below, so they fit snugly together. So when you're building this, remember to make sure that you match these wooden pieces to the outline that is printed on the stone surface here. There's a little outline and it matches that. Now I didn't get that right, as you can see, so I've got a bit sticking out here, but be careful when you're doing that. Now all the way through these builds I built them quite quickly, so I did make mistakes, but this is good because then I can show you the mistakes that I made and make sure you don't make them. You can see this bit doesn't match perfectly here because you can see the outline showing. Also be very careful here when you're pulling these out of the sprue or out of the frame, because there's some very thin bits there that can easily break. You might want to use a scalpel to cut out some pieces. I just punched them out and that caused me a few problems. A few pieces broke where they were very fine and detailed, so you might want to use a scalpel. Now this bit here, I probably rushed this a bit because this bit can be separate, and I just glued it straight on because I didn't get it to match up properly when I made it separately, so I just glued it on the bottom, which is fine. You can keep that separate if you like, and this actually fits into slots and sits there on the top, and then sits on the top of the tower like so. So I really love this. It's a great start to the set, and as I said, really lovely large tower, really nice. Next up, this is the Sawmill, and I particularly love the roof on this one. Look at all the lovely detail in that roof. These are all individual pieces, long pieces, and they fit together. And I'll give you some tips about building those roofs in a moment. There's a separate sawmill thing here. You can glue this to the surface inside if you want to, but you don't have to. And actually I left these bits separate because it just makes a really nice general hall. So here's the bit inside. Whoops, I actually glue these bits together before I glued them, but you don't have to. That's the sawmill piece which you can place in the middle, or if you want to, you can just have this great open hall, which is really impressive. Really nice and large. Put that guy in there. And we've got some nice little details like these carved columns inside. Again, you could leave this just how it is, or you could paint it if you wish. It's up to you. Put that ramp on the outside, but very nice hall. And you can see, because you've got the detail inside of the roof of all those different slats attached together, it looks really impressive. Some head pieces there as well. Lovely big hall. Now this one is pretty impressive indeed. It's the Blacksmith, and it's got this very nice round design, as you can see. Now be careful when you're attaching these stairways. There's some tricky bits to just making sure you've got the right pieces so these all fit together properly, so keep an eye on that. Also keep an eye when you're attaching these pieces as well. I think in this case these go up a little bit above the roof line, and this one probably should have gone a little bit above the roof line as well. Just yeah, follow the instructions carefully. The great thing about this is that this roof comes off like so. You can see really nice roof design. This, as you can see, just separate pieces like that. We've got the inside, and I love how they've just added little bits of detail to these insides to make them interesting. So you've got a little target thing here that can pop out if you like, a little shield target. There's some blacksmith tools hanging on the wall, stuff like that. It's a very nice interior. You've got the fireplace there, and this is a separate arrangement on the outside. So this can just slot into there, and you've got your outside blacksmith stuff. A few little crates which are nice. These bits you can glue or leave separate if you like. I've just glued it all together. So lovely little outhouse that attaches there. And isn't it impressive? There's even a little anvil sign. This is a very, very nice building indeed. It's got a lot of style. Look at that. So not too difficult to build this one. As I said, the roof is pretty easy. Just be careful with these edge pieces. Everything else was pretty straightforward. Now I've got two buildings here. On the right, the residence, and on the left, the tavern. And I want to give you some tips here, especially with the roof, because I made a bit of a mistake when I was building the roof far too quickly. And the thing with these roofs, of course, is that they're separate. You can take them off like so. Like that. So when I was putting this together, because you've got these pieces here and then the slats, I did them in the wrong order, and I started doing things like this for the resident. As you can see, they're done the wrong way. You should start from the bottom and work up to the top instead of the other way around. So each of these edges should be overhanging the one below it. So this is the second one because I happen to have some extra pieces that they sent me. And I made a mistake with this one first, so I really had to fix it up, pull it apart and do it again. And here's the proper style of the roof, which made a mess over here. But the thing is about these wooden models is that you can make a bit of a mess. I mean, this looks really messy. It's super glued together. It's a bit of a stuff up, but it doesn't matter because either like that or if it's painted, it kind of looks realistic, because in the real world things aren't perfect. So that doesn't bother me at all. The residence, of course, this whole roof section comes off like so. And here's the inside, sitting on a base. Again, be careful that you just put the right pieces on the wall itself. There's an outline that matches it, especially on this side. I put the lintel in the wrong place there. Made a few errors there, so be careful. And then this roof goes on the whole bit. The other thing with this roof is that these side bits, let me show you here, made up of two pieces. So make sure you put the one with the notches on the inside and the one without the notches on the outside. I foolishly put the two notches ones together, and that didn't work because you want a notch on the inside here and a notch on the inside there, so these pieces can notch in. So, as you can see, I made a bit of a mess of that roof, but I did fix it in the end. Of course, when I built this roof, I did the same thing. I did it in the wrong order. Very stupid on me. So I just pulled it off while it was still drying and managed to fix it. A few errors here, but I'm going to paint this anyway, so it'll look absolutely fine. The other thing with this one is that these ridge pieces are made up of two pieces. And I think that this inside piece should actually be lined up with the top, because when I put these together on the building, you can see they don't quite line up at the bottom. So I put those in the wrong place. So that's another thing to look out for. There's all these little errors you can make if you rush it. So take it slowly. But in the end, that's easy to fix. You can see an example of it here. So this inside piece should have been lined up with the top instead of the bottom. Whoops! Oh well, not a big problem. If I'd done that properly, this would have lined up better as well, but it's still fine. And again, a little bit of cutting and fixing will fix those problems. I've got nice details here like these window frames, which give it a bit more depth. And if you take the lid off, you've got a bit of an interior too. There's a fire pit. You can attach that if you want to. There's some benches and tables and things like that. I've got a few extra here from those extra sheets that I got, so I'm not sure if there's that many in the original. There's probably just one bench and one table and 2 chairs. And there's kind of a bench up the end here as well. It's obviously the bar. So, very nice. Again, it's got a lovely door. This can swing if you do it properly, but I didn't, so it's in there solidly. But really nice big building. And again, it's got that size about it, which just makes it impressive. Where's my figure? Here he is. There we go. It really looks like a decent size, doesn't it? Don't have that strange thing you have sometimes with small terrain elements and large figures. And finally, you've got the church, which is this amazingly detailed large building. I just realised I haven't put the door in properly yet, so this also has a door. But look at the decoration on this thing. It's got this sort of double layered decoration. There's a tree in front and a star behind, and all this amazing woodwork. Really quite impressive. And all these windows again have frames, very nice. This beautiful roof, which is just stunning. I mean, this is really impressive. This is just one piece, and then this piece is actually all pre-cut, so it just sits in a hemispherical kind of curve. Really, really lovely. And of course, like all the other roofs, this one comes off, and you'll see it's amazingly detailed inside. Now, one thing it has is this kind of hanging chandelier thing, which is a lovely detail but kind of useless because, you know, you can't actually see inside with the roof not on, so it's not really necessary. But inside, look at this. It's a 2-story arrangement with these big rose windows at the end. Absolutely stunning. Not only that, these come out like so. And you've got the bottom level. There's some stairs leading up to the top level. And here's the bottom level with the altar at the end. Really, really impressive interior. And again, nice and big. Put your figure in there and it doesn't look like it's overwhelming the space. I was particularly impressed with this model. It looks really lovely. The only change I might make to it is I might actually remove these large pieces at the top and just have the line go along the ridge line. These, I realise it's part of the design, but they just look a little bit too much for me. But that's just personal taste. So yeah, I was very impressed with that one. Not too difficult to build. The roof was really easy to do. Just be careful with those interior pieces because there's a bit of complexity there. Make sure that you're putting those in the right places. Just follow the instructions carefully. And you can see they often do things like double up the thickness of things, which I really like to give it a real sense of solidity, which I think is great. Yeah, it's very impressive. Oh, and one last thing, there's this nice little collection of market stalls with some lovely warehouse crates there, a nice barrel as well, and a couple of benches to sit down and watch the people go by. And here's the Estun Village set all set up. I've added a few extra barrels and trees and things. As you can see, it's a lovely selection when it's all together. You could make that tower different heights by taking levels off. And remember, even though I made a few mistakes, it doesn't matter. You can use bits of MDF offcut to make variations to these buildings if you like. As I said, I'm going to take a little bit off the top of the church just because that's the way I'd like to do it. You could glue the doors in place if you don't want them to open. And you could also apply a lick of paint if you wanted to make this look even more realistic. But without doing all those things, it still looks absolutely lovely, as you can see. And the great thing is that these buildings have a real sense of scale. They're nice and solid and they're big, and together they make a very impressive tabletop indeed. So that's it, the Estun Village set from Warcradle. I hope you've enjoyed this look at it, and this is the Esoteric Order of Gamers. I will see you next time. Bye for now.